Part 1. Not Yo Mama's Christianity. Chapter 1. The Passion of the Jew. Hashtag Way Back Faith. Wailing. That's the sound I remember most from the Passion of the Christ. It came from 2 rows behind and was occasionally followed by a tearful, "They're killing Jesus." There were other vocalizations besides. When the movie began, a woman a few rows back loudly exclaimed, "Subtitles? They'll start talking in English, right?" There were lots of gasps and a surprising number of praise Jesuses. The guy next to me nudged me early in the movie and said, with his mouth full of popcorn, "This is really sad, no?" But it's the wailing I remember most. Like everyone else in the nation, I had heard a lot about Mel Gibson's graphically brutal love song to the Messiah. I had heard 3 separate sermons from 2 different pastors on why I had to see this movie. Every magazine, secular and Christian alike, said the same thing. One magazine in particular suggested that not seeing this movie would be unchristian. I love gory movies. If it has the word Tarantino in it, I'm in. But I always felt conflicted about movies that portrayed Christ. There's no artist in the world who can accurately portray him, so why try? So I didn't go at first, not until my grandma guilted me into it. She had already seen it something like 14 times. The same way some women went repeatedly to see Twilight and Titanic, my grandma went to see The Passion. If there was a person who hadn't seen it, she'd tug their arm and pull them into the next showing. 10 minutes into the movie, all I could think about was the Krispy Kreme donut shop that had opened in the parking lot of the movie theater. I know people were moved to tears by the movie, but the message was lost on me. It wasn't a movie about Christ's pain. It was a movie about some guy getting beaten to death. I understood that the whole purpose of a passion play was to show this, but the movie just didn't work for me. It didn't work for my stomach either. Where other people would wince at the lashing, my stomach would growl and loudly and inappropriately remind me how much I wanted that donut. Still, I stuck with it. According to some articles I read, it was my Christian duty to support this movie. If nothing else, I knew it would have a happy ending, and the 2 hours of blood would be worth it. The ultimate message of love and redemption would be revealed. A funny thing happened on the way to the ending. A shadowy figure left the tomb. One could only assume it was Jesus. And the credits rolled. Before I saw the movie, I heard pastor after pastor say this was a great evangelical movie. But when I saw the ending, I just didn't get it. I couldn't imagine that any person who didn't already understand what the death and resurrection of Christ meant would walk away from this movie and say, "Now I get it." If I wasn't a Christian, I would have walked away and said, "That was messed up what they did to Jesus." And that's it. I looked at my watch as I walked out of the theater, and I sighed sadly. On top of having seen one of the most pointless and depressing movies of my life, Krispy Kreme was closed. As I thought about the organic Jesus, the Passion is one of the first things that crossed my mind. Despite my expressed distaste for the movie, it opened up dialogue for a topic that was frequently overlooked: the historical Jesus. Jesus was God, and Jesus was man. To understand the human nature of Christ, it helps to strip away everything the Bible tells us about his divine nature and the wise things he said, and to just think about what history may tell us about him. There are many things with regard to any religion that have to be taken by faith. Religion by its very principle is not always logical. In essence, faith is believing in something you cannot understand with rational thought. But while Christianity may have fundamental principles based solely on faith, it is also grounded in fundamental truths that are based on logic. One such truth is that Jesus Christ actually existed. A wiki break side note. The Passion of the Christ is a variant of something that has been around for hundreds of years, the Passion Play. Passion plays, which are themselves a variant of Easter plays, depict the trial, suffering, and death of Jesus. The plays were always crowd pleasers. Who, after all, doesn't absolutely love to see the guy they worship beaten? They became so popular that the 15th century equivalent of liberal Hollywood swooped in and tried to secularize them. It got to a point where the plays were more like an episode of South Park, complete with obscene jokes and swearing. This, of course, upset the church, so they began banning secular versions. By the 16th century, the old school plays were back, but their sexiness was gone, and the crowds went with it. Passion plays disappeared almost entirely until the 19th century, when they were rediscovered and haven't gone away since. Today, the biggest passion play is in New Jerusalem. Not that New Jerusalem. Think Brazil. The New Jerusalem Theater in Brejo da Madre de Deus was built in 1968 with one purpose: to host passion performances. Considered the largest open-air theater in the world, it features 9 stages, 60 main actors, 500 extras, 400 crew members, and 800 costume pieces. If you can't afford the cost of venturing down to South America, I suggest you read the book. It's called the Bible, and it has a lot of scenes that didn't make it into the play. End side note. Full disclosure, we're about to get historical. After this point, there are going to be a lot of references to historical events, seminars, and other things some people do not find interesting. Don't worry, it's going to be okay. I'll get you through it. If you feel intimidated, music helps. Following is a playlist of 7 songs about historical events to get you in the mood. 1913 Massacre by Guthrie. It's never a good idea to yell "fire" in a crowded building when there is no fire. The event happened on December 24, 1913, at the Italian Hall in Calumet, Michigan. 73 people were killed while fleeing the building. April 29, 1992, Miami by Sublime. Depending on your view, this song is about the 1992 Los Angeles riots. Though the name of the song gives the correct date of the riots, the lyrics refer to April 26th. Apparently, the band members were so moved by the event that they couldn't get the date right. The Lords of Salem by Rob Zombie. Zombie goes old school on this classic ditty about the Salem witch trials. When the Tigers Broke Free by Pink Floyd. This song describes the death of Roger Waters' father in Operation Shingle, a World War II amphibious landing battle that took place several months before the Battle of Normandy in Italy. Back to December by Taylor Swift. The song is allegedly about Swift's breakup with Taylor Lautner. Though the song doesn't mention it, one can speculate that Swift felt forced to break up with Lautner upon realizing that if they ever married, they'd have the exact same name. Suffer Little Children by the Smiths. The song is about the notorious Moors murders. The Moors murders took place in England between 1963 and 1965. During those years, Ian Brady and Myra Hindley murdered 5 children between the ages of 10 and 17. Louisiana, 1926.